Hello beautiful friends, welcome back to the channel. So today we have a small project that we are going to work on, and that is going to be on our raspberries. Okay, so I have had this raspberry bush ironically for 3 years now. It was originally over here in Berry Ridge. It was actually right there where that blueberry is. However, it was not happy. And in all honesty, I basically thought it was dead and it wasn't going to come back, and I was wrong. I was so wrong. It came back. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be up potting this raspberry, and then I'm going to also be potting up another raspberry. So this is an Ann Gold, so it is a golden raspberry. And since I don't seem to have luck with growing raspberries in the ground, I'm going to go on ahead and give putting them in pots a try, because if that's what I need to do in order to have happy plants, then I am more than willing to put them in some containers and just, well, let them grow on. So I'm going to take you along for that. We're going to see how it works out so that you know for your space whether or not putting berries in pots is going to be a viable solution for you in your space. All right, so let's go on ahead and get this video going. Okay guys, as a side note, I was told in particular when it comes to raspberries that it is a wise idea to give them some evening shade. Now, as you know, if you've been here for an extended period of time, I have almost like no shade. We're a full sun area from about 10:30 all the way up through about 7 o'clock at night right now in full season. So putting these guys in a pot is actually probably going to end up working out better for me, because what I can do is kind of move it around as needed and sort of stick it in a place where it might get maybe a little bit more shadow, say near these green stock grow towers, which is why I've got it situated right here. I'll show you that here in a minute, because this section, even though I don't have technical shade, is going to get a little bit more of a shade break just because I have some vertical towers right here. So I'm hoping that by keeping it in this general vicinity, I'll be able to facilitate that evening shade aspect that I wouldn't have otherwise. Now let's go on ahead and start planting up this beautiful Ann Gold raspberry. I'm so excited, can you tell? All right guys, so as you can see, we have a large pot here because this is technically a full-size raspberry. So we do need to make sure that the roots have plenty of room here. The other thing that I also have going on here is I've got some Espoma organic berry tone, and this will be going in, and of course I've got a really good healthy compost base here to give this plant the nutrients it needs to really be able to grow on well. Okay, so to plant this guy out, all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make a little bit of a hole. Now I'm going to plant this guy a little bit deeper, so I'm going to pretend like this is the top of my pot, and then what I'm going to do, small handful of berry tone. It doesn't take a whole lot with this organic fertilizer. And then I'm just going to plant down like so. All right, so adding a little bit more soil here. Okay, so now that we've got this guy planted up, I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to up pot that other raspberry that I've had here for a few years. See if we can't give it a little bit more root space and hopefully get a little bit of a larger harvest off of it. Because really, as this blueberry in this pot is going to show you here, it is possible to grow fruiting bushes in containers. So just try to remember that your success is not necessarily determined by the amount of land that you have, but how you use the land that you've got. So we're going to do this as efficiently as we possibly can to get the maximum benefit that we can in our space. Let's go on ahead and get that other raspberry going, guys. So, as you could see, when I was trying to knock you over here, when I was potting up that raspberry that I've had for 3 years now, it's been in that pot for about 2.5 years, and it did need to be up potted. The roots had definitely filled out that pot pretty well. So up potting it was a good decision this year, I believe, but you will notice that I sprinkled some of that berry tone into the soil as I was filling it, and that's just to refresh the soil that was in that pot because I was reusing last year's soil and then mixing it in with a little bit of some new compost that I have brought in this year. So that's a good handy tip if you are by chance someone who is doing pots for growing. You can refresh your soil as long as it hasn't gone hydrophobic, which, as we've discussed before on the channel, is when your soil no longer has any of the beneficial microbes in it, doesn't have the prebiotics, the probiotics, and all the water is just running through it. The roots of the plant aren't grabbing onto the water and sucking it in. So since the soil was not hydrophobic, I just went on ahead and gave it a little bit more nutrition primarily for the plant and also for the soil. And then I just added some fresh compost on top. So, the top 2.5, 3 inches is a brand new compost from this year. So it should grow on pretty well in that pot. Now that raspberry in particular, I think they call it a cupcake variety. So it is going to stay smaller. It only gets about 1 foot tall and 1 foot wide, which is why it is a valuable plant to have in a pot. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if it thrives a little bit better with a little bit more space so that it can fully upsize to its size since it wants to live. I might as well just give it a hand and let it live. Now the Ann Gold, as I had stated before, is a full-size raspberry plant, and it is a golden raspberry, so it's basically going to be like candy. It's going to be so sweet and so spectacular. But I went on ahead and I put her in a larger pot since this particular variety is going to be a larger variety anyway. Now, the good news about having it in the pot is if you have ever grown raspberries, they do tend to put out a lot of runners. So having it in a pot is going to kind of help contain it a little bit from putting out those runners into the ground and spreading itself like crazy. So we're just going to experiment. We're going to see if it's going to be happy here in this space, giving it what it needs, and we'll let you know how it goes on throughout this year. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspired you to maybe try and or consider planting berry bushes in your space no matter where you are. And if you want to learn more but you don't know where to start, you're a beginner gardener, or maybe you're in a new area and you're just struggling to grow, go on ahead and check out my one-on-one coaching session. I'll drop a link to that down below in the description box so that you can book your one-on-one live coaching session with me. I would be happy to help you get a jump start on your garden space and to really get you to take off and growing right where you are. I will also have at the end of this video a link to our other berry bush plantings so that you can learn a little bit more about planting berries in your space if you are interested in learning that. So go on ahead and enjoy that content as well. And as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential. We'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.